The following program does not offer personal medical advice. Please consult your doctor before using any treatment or product we cover. Welcome to Go to Health Radio with your host, Jonathan Marks. We provide a welcoming environment where experts educate you on important health topics, answer your questions, and provide information from which you can benefit in consultation with your doctor. And now, here is Jonathan Marks.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Jonathan Marks from Go to Health Media, and we're talking today on another interesting subject relating to the New Brain Nutrition project that I've been working on for the past 5 years. Today we're talking about the mental health benefits of the Mediterranean diet. And just as a reminder, the New Brain Nutrition Project is a consortium of 18 university hospitals in Europe that are studying the effects of nutrition and lifestyle on your mental health. And what we're talking about today is what are the mental health benefits of the Mediterranean diet. With me as our guest today is Jordi Salas, MD. He's the Distinguished Professor of Nutrition and a researcher at the Rovira e Virgili University, and Principal Investigator of the Cyber Project on Physiopathology on Obesity and Nutrition Network of the Instituto Carlos III. And he's also a member of the Catalan government's network of experts on public health, and he lives near Barcelona, Spain. Welcome to the program. Jordi, how are you today?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this program.
Good.
Jonathan.
So before you talk about the research that you've done, explain for us, what is the Mediterranean diet?
Yeah, it's not easy to explain, but the Mediterranean diet is a food pattern, is a model of healthy eating that has been associated in the last years to a decreased risk of several diseases. Mm-hmm. So is a food pattern that can be characterized by the use of olive oil as a main culinary fat for dressing, but also for cooking. Mm-hmm. But also abundant vegetable products such as vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole cereals. This is important: pasta, bread, and rice, etc. Tree nuts, legumes, and we use for cooking aromatic herbs and spices. Okay. A lot of spices.
Okay.
Also is a food pattern that is rich in fish and shellfish, with a moderated consumption of wine, usually with meals, moderate consumption.
Okay.
And a low intake of meat and processed meat products and other processed food, creams, milk and milk products, and sugar drinks, and other processed foods. This is the main characteristics of the Mediterranean diet. So it's a diet that is very rich in tocopherols, in polyphenols, in flavonoids, in phytosterols, in molecules that are beneficial for health.
Got it. And when you talk about moderate consumption of wine, how much are we talking about every night? Are we talking about 1 glass, 2 glasses, a bottle?
Yes, this we recommend. So we do not recommend to drink wine or to drink alcohol. But okay. What is one of the characteristics of the Mediterranean diet is the use of a moderate consumption. So, and moderate consumption is about approximately 1 cup of wine for women, or 2 cups of wine per day for men.
I see. Okay, got it.
But if we have to recommend people, we do not recommend this, because there are some people that they drink more, or a big cup if we recommend this. So, so what we do, and we have done this in the PREDIMED PLUS study, we recommend for those people that they drinks this moderate amount, we said, okay, you can continue. If you drink more, please don't.
Okay, good. Got it.
But never we recommend to increase the consumption of alcohol.
Okay, got it. Thank you for that clarification. That's important for many of us in the world. Good. So Jordi, tell us, what was the design of your research for New Brain Nutrition?
Yes, we have conducted 2 clinical trials. The first clinical trial is called PREDIMED. PREDIMED is the acronym of Prevention with Mediterranean Diet. So,
okay.
So this study has been started several years ago and is a clinical trial, a randomized clinical trial. So we try to randomize people that never have had before cardiovascular disease, but they are at risk of cardiovascular disease because they have diabetes or other diseases. And we have randomized to these participants to 3 intervention groups. In one of the intervention groups, we recommend a Mediterranean diet, enriched or supplemented with extra virgin olive oil. In the other participants, the same recommendations of Mediterranean diet, but we give for free to all of them 30 grams per day of nuts, so walnuts, hazelnuts, and almonds. Okay. And we compare these interventions to another group that we recommend to a low-fat diet, so avoiding the consumption of oils in general, animal fat, and also nuts that are very rich in fat.
Okay, all right. So
and we have yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to be clear and just repeat. So we have an olive oil concentration, we have a nut concentration, and then we have a low-fat concentration, which would not include olive oil or nuts.
Okay. Yes.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
And this population that have been followed by several years, a mean follow-up of 5 years. And we follow this population, we keep information of them. We have had biological samples, so blood, etc. And also we analyze if they have the incidence of new diseases. For example, someone have diabetes, starts with a diabetes, or starts with myocardial infarction. They have had a myocardial infarction. So we recorded all the clinical information of this population, and this was the design of the study. So we were able to analyze if people in one of the arms of the trial have more chances to have cardiovascular disease, or to have mortality by cancer, or to have more depression, etc.
Got it. So I'm dying to hear, have you finished the study and what did you find?
We have found several things, several important things. So we have observed that we have demonstrated with high level of evidence, because this type of study designs give to us high levels of evidence, that the Mediterranean diet enriched with olive oil or nuts, compared to the control group, that is this low-fat diet, we have observed that reduces blood pressure, improve the lipid profile of this population, reverse the metabolic syndrome. The metabolic syndrome is abdominal obesity associated to hypertension and diabetes and other metabolic disorders.
Right.
Decreases insulin resistance and prevent diabetes. Also, we have demonstrated beneficial effects on the regression of the atherosclerosis plaque in the aorta.
Okay.
And also, we have demonstrated that reduces by 30% the incidence of new cases of cardiovascular disease and mortality by these causes.
This is huge. That's great. Oh wow.
Yes.
So that's why is this one of the formative studies in the world? Is this one of the first studies in the world that have studied the Mediterranean diet? Because I'm reading a lot in the press. There are a lot of articles on the Mediterranean diet, and I'm curious if your study, the PREDIMED, was really one of the leaders.
This is one of the most important studies that have been conducted until now, because the PREDIMED study was a primary prevention cardiovascular disease study. So it's a study that analyzed these benefits in individuals that never have had myocardial infarction or stroke or other cardiovascular diseases.
Got it. Wow. So that's really amazing. That's incredible. So all scientific research leads to more scientific research. So what research are you moving into now?
Now we are conducting another clinical trial. So before that, before explaining this,
yes.
I think it's important to say that we have observed in PREDIMED beneficial effects also on cognition, because we need to talk about
mental health. Yes.
About mental disorders. So
right.
we have observed beneficial effects, a delay in the cognitive decline of our participants, and this was very interesting. And it's for this that we have started another clinical trial that we start 7 years ago. That is called PREDIMED PLUS.
Okay.
The PREDIMED PLUS, the question of PREDIMED PLUS is completely different. So when we have someone that has overweight or obesity, usually the medical doctors try to reduce weight, because we know that if we reduce the weight, we decrease the blood pressure of these people. We have some benefits on glucose, and we have some benefits on the lipid profile, and people can reduce the medication that they use for diabetes, etc. So we know this, but never it has been demonstrated that reducing weight to a population, the reduction of weight, using a healthy lifestyle, this reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease and mortality. And this is the question that we try to resolve with this new clinical trial. So in this case, what we are doing is we have two groups of population. Is a randomized clinical trial. In one group, we try to reduce the weight of the people using a healthy diet, a Mediterranean diet in this case, but also we promote exercise, physical activity, and behavioral changes in order that this population decrease the weight and maintain this weight low. So, and we compare this intervention with another intervention that we are using, also a Mediterranean diet, but is not a energy restricted Mediterranean diet, caloric restricted Mediterranean diet, because we do not try to decrease the weight of the population.
I see.
And we do not give recommendations in order to increase physical activity.
Okay.
And we try the same. The final aim point is to analyze the beneficial effects on cardiovascular disease and mortality. So we are doing the same, following this population several years. Now we are at 5 years of follow-up of this population, 7,000 people, followed by 5 years at that moment. And in 2 years, we will have the final results on this primary endpoint. But in this population, we have characterized the population because we have a lot of information of them. So depression, symptomology, using questionnaires, but also cognition, impulsivity, and other things that are important in order to see if these traits could be related to this intervention.
So let's talk. We've talked about the physical benefits of the Mediterranean diet, but let's talk a little bit about the mental health benefits. Do we have evidence how the Mediterranean diet affects mental health?
Mental health. So yes, in case of PREDIMED, we have demonstrated these beneficial effects of cognition. So we have observed benefits, especially in one of the domains of cognition, that is the memory. So that increases memory. So that is important. So that we have observed this in those individuals that have been randomized to the Mediterranean diet. Now, using the PREDIMED Plus study, also we have observed beneficial effects of cognition. So those individuals that reduce weight using a Mediterranean diet and physical activity, they have more beneficial effects in terms of cognition, especially in different domains. In memory also we have observed, but also in terms of attention and in some executive functions that they do the things better. So when we try to resolve some problems. So we have observed this beneficial effect. Also, we have demonstrated beneficial effects on depression.
Wow.
We have several studies that have been demonstrated that the Mediterranean diet can be useful in order to decrease the depression symptomatology in individuals at high risk of cardiovascular disease. Several studies, cohort studies, that is a study that we follow population during several years, and we have information on this, but also we have demonstrated the same in the context of PREDIMED and the PREDIMED PLUS study during these few years that we have followed the population.
Right, got it. So
these are the most important benefits that we have observed.
This is amazing. So I keep emphasizing this in all these videos on new brain nutrition. Can you explain for me one more time, and it's always good for the audience to hear, when I think of eating, or I think when most of us think of eating, we think of, eating healthily for our bodies. But what we're really talking about with the New Brain Nutrition Project is eating healthily for our brains. What's the connection between eating healthy food and better mental functioning?
Is very complicated to explain this, because at the end, the Mediterranean diet cannot be attributed to one food or another food.
Right.
So it's like an orchestra. So the sound is better when all the instruments are playing at the same time. So this is the same what it happened with Mediterranean diet. Each food have different nutrients, beneficial nutrients that can have benefits at the end on cardiovascular disease, on mental health. One of these benefits have been attributed by these beneficial effects on blood pressure or endothelial function of our vessels, but also the oxidation processes that occurs in our organism, the inflammation. So the Mediterranean diet has anti-inflammatory properties, and all of these can explain these beneficial effects that we have observed in the prevention of these important diseases, and also on cognition.
So tell me a little bit more about how a healthy diet affects our cognition or our brain function. What's the connection?
For example, one of the things that had been demonstrated in the last years is that when we eat, for example, whole grains, so part of these whole grains is fiber. Fiber arrives to the colon, or also the fat from tree nuts arrive to the colon intact. And this fat or fiber are used by bacteria in the colon, that they produce several compounds that we call metabolites, and these metabolites can be absorbed. And these absorbed metabolites could arrive to the brain and can act reducing the inflammation in the brain. For example, this is one of the mechanisms, but there are several others.
Right. So, got it. Okay, good. So so we're just kind of re-emphasizing that when we think about eating healthily, or and also doing movement, it's not only for our quote unquote body, but it's also for the brain, which is really part of our body. And so many of us just separate the brain from the rest of the body. But what this whole study and this whole project has been doing is showing how nutrition and lifestyle affect the brain. So Jordi has just explained how some of this happens. That's great, Jordi. So what's the next research that you're going to be looking at? So
now we are analyzing the effect of food consumption on impulsivity. The impulsivity is an important thing. So impulsivity is a personality trait that can be defined as a predisposition toward rapid unplanned reactions to internal or external stimuli, without regard to the negative consequence of the reactions. So it has been demonstrated, for example, that lower impulsivity is related to greater control of food intake, but also body weight and less emotional eating. So yes. Impulsivity has been postulated to play an important role in modifying the participants' capacity to adhere to a specific diet, for example. So, or to lead to overconsumption and obesity. So we have observed that those individuals that are impulsive, they have more difficulties to lose weight, and they adhere to unhealthy diets. And if you have lower impulsivity, you adhere to the individual have more possibilities to be adhere to a healthy diet, such as the Mediterranean diet. So we have observed this using the data of PREDIMED, for example. Now we are trying to analyze if impulsivity could be related to cardiovascular disease and mortality also, because we are analyzing this information. Right. But also, what is important now to study in the future is if this impulsivity trait can be modulated. Because if we can moderate impulsivity, perhaps we can have some beneficial effects on losing weight, for example, if you try to lose weight, or on cardiovascular disease incidence, reducing the incidence of cardiovascular disease.
This is very, very exciting research. Good for you. That's great. So this has been wonderful talking with you. I really appreciate your coming on today to talk with us. We've been talking with Jordi Salas, MD. He's near Barcelona, Spain. He's the Distinguished Professor of Nutrition and is a researcher at the Rovira i Virgili University. He's also the Principal Investigator of the Cyber Project on Physiopathology on Obesity and Nutrition. And he's also a member of the Catalan government's network of experts on public health. Jordi, you really have demonstrated for us why you are in all three of these positions today. You're doing such important work. And I'm so impressed with the results you've seen about the benefits of the Mediterranean diet. Thanks so much for sharing that with us today.
Thank you to you, Jonathan.
Okay, we'll see you again next time. Thank you, everybody. This is Jonathan Marks with Go to Health.
Thank you for tuning in this week to Go to Health Radio. Be sure to join Jonathan Marks and another health expert next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time and 12 noon Pacific Time on the Voice America Variety Channel. You can also catch the program on your favorite podcast platform. Until our next show, be sure to visit us on the web at gotohealthmedia.com and elevate your life.